Good morning and welcome. I am Michael Cahill, and it is my pleasure and privilege to serve as co-dean of Rutgers Law School in residence here at our Camden location. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and administration of Rutgers Law School and Rutgers University-Camden, I offer a warm welcome to you all. Before we get underway, let me note, for any of you who may be observing Ramadan, that if you are interested in accessing prayer space, it is available, and you should please see the hospitality table in the lobby to learn more. Please also join me in thanking our musicians today, the Rutgers Brass Ensemble, under the direction of Dr. Joseph Schiavo. Now I ask you all to rise or remain standing while the ensemble plays and Dion Fields sings our national anthem. Thank you so much, Ms. Fields. Let me take a few moments to note some of the people that you see before you today. Joining our graduates in front of me, faculty and staff behind and around me. We also have, of course, Rutgers University-Camden Chancellor Phoebe Hadden. Also joining us from the university's central administration is Vice President Kim Manning. And I also welcome my fellow deans, Rutgers-Camden Provost Mike Pallas, and other members of the Chancellor's administrative team. Here on stage, we are pleased to have joining us from the federal bench, District Judge Noel Hillman. From the New Jersey Judiciary, we are joined by our colleague, Appellate Judge Jack Sabatino. And in special seating in the audience, we are joined by U.S. District Judge Joseph Rodriguez. And of course, although you'll be hearing much more about her and from her shortly, please take a moment now to join me in welcoming and thanking today's speaker and honorary degree recipient, Professor Anita Hill. I'm also joined on stage by the leaders of the Newark location of Rutgers Law School, current co-dean Chen, who is stepping down this summer, and incoming co-dean David Lopez, who is alongside our vice dean, Kim Mutcherson. Please join me in welcoming Deans Chen and Lopez. Finally, before turning to our graduates themselves, I'd like to welcome the many family members and friends who are here today to mark this special occasion. In fact, class of 2018, while I am still temporarily in a position to ask you to do things, I would ask that you take a moment to show your appreciation to the many loved ones who for the last several years have not only endured your whining about how law school is so hard, but have given you their support, their encouragement, and in some cases, their money, so that you could get to this day. Please rise, turn, and give your supporters a round of applause. All right, that's enough about them. We're here to talk about you. Graduates of the class of 2018, you came to us as a diverse and talented group of promising students. Today, you leave as an accomplished and professional group of trained legal experts. But what marks you as truly special, not only today, but throughout your time here, and I'm sure into your future careers, is that in addition to your expertise, you have boundless and inspiring levels of energy, enthusiasm, and dedication. You have, during your time here, been active participants in your own education, editing our various journals, serving as teaching assistants in our nationally renowned legal writing program, competing in or helping design the Hunter Moot Court competition, and various other national and international competitions. And perhaps more importantly, you have not limited your activities to the classroom or to your own personal development. Your class has been deeply civically engaged, whether helping clients in our various clinics, teaching area high school students about the law and their constitutional rights through the Marshall Brennan program, or offering your time and talents in any of our numerous pro bono programs. In fact, between clinics, externships, pro bono projects, and summer placements in public interest programs, we conservatively estimate that you contributed over 70,000 hours of legal services to the surrounding community during your time here. Thank you. Commencement is a bittersweet moment for us, not only because we are bidding farewell to a group of students we've come to know over several years, but also because it's a time to acknowledge other transitions as the school year comes to an end. And I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to note the retirements of Professors Craig Oren and Dennis Braithwaite, who are seated behind me now, as well as Judge Sabatino, whom I noted a moment ago, who is still a judge and still a good friend of the school, but is stepping out of his role as an adjunct faculty member. And finally, Maureen O'Boyle, a long-standing and dedicated member of our admissions office. Please join me in thanking all of them for their years of service to Rutgers Law School. But I need to take a few extra moments to recognize and thank two particular people who will be leaving their current roles with the law school. The first is Associate Dean Angela Baker. Angie has played just about every role a person can here at the law school, including student. She has served on our faculty as a legal writing instructor and as director of the legal writing and academic support programs. She has served as head of our career office. Amazingly, in between all those roles, somehow she managed to fit in several years of legal practice, both at a private firm and in the public sector as an assistant public advocate. And of course, her current, I may be biased, but I would say her best role is to serve as our Associate Dean of Students and Diversity Affairs. In that capacity, she has provided support and guidance to hundreds, if not thousands, of students, helping many of them get through some of the worst moments of their lives, and also helping many to realize some of the greatest moments of their lives. I know many of the graduating students in front of me can attest to the impact Angie has had on them. And I know that they and our faculty will join me in thanking her and wishing her a retirement full of the joy and contentment she has so richly earned. And of course, the other person I wish to recognize is my work spouse, Co-Dean Ronald Chen, who is divorcing me after only 2 years. I should note that he is not retiring, as is sometimes supposed, but stepping down as co-dean to rejoin, some might say take a promotion to, the faculty. Like Angie, since he graduated from Rutgers Law School, in Newark in his case, he also has had an impressive career as a lawyer, serving in the governor's cabinet from 2006 to 2010 as the state's public advocate, serving on the national board of the ACLU and as its general counsel, and pursuing impact litigation, often through the law school's own clinical program to protect civil and constitutional rights. But of course, his chief service has been to Rutgers University. Just 2 weeks ago, he was recognized for 30 years of service on our faculty, and he spent, by my calculation, comfortably more than half of that time as either dean or vice dean, so those should be counted in dog years. Having served beside him for just 2 of those years, I personally would like to thank him for his support, his judgment, his patience, especially in the early days, his honesty, his astounding work ethic, his calm and composure in tense situations, of which we have shared a few, and of course his friendship. And we all, joined here, owe him a debt for his tireless and steadfast devotion to pursuing the best interests of the law school, and particularly to ensuring the ongoing success of the merger of our 2 locations. So please join me in thanking him now. Members of the class of 2018, I offer you these 2 fellow Rutgers Law School graduates, Angela Baker and Ronald Chen, as exemplars of everything you might hope to do and to be in your own professional lives. My fond wish for you, and at the same time, my challenge to you, is that you fill your careers with contributions and accomplishments to match theirs. From what our entire faculty has seen of you in these last several years, we not only hope, but expect that you will honor and continue the legacy of past Rutgers lawyers like these. And one of the great joys and privileges of our role as teachers is that we can watch as you fulfill the promise that we see in you today. We look forward to following you as you make your mark on our profession and our society. But for now, we are delighted to offer you our congratulations for everything you have done already to reach this special day. Congratulations, class of 2018. It is now my pleasure to introduce our dedicated third-year class president, Jack Haggerty, who will speak on behalf of the class of 2018. Jack?
Hello. Thank you, Dean Cahill, family, friends, and the unmistakable class of 2018. Congratulations to us all. Oh, and good morning. I asked them to make the ceremony even earlier, but it conflicted with my plans to procrastinate on my speech. Because when you know you have a bad habit of procrastination and you don't do anything differently to curb it, it becomes a plan at that point. Trust me, I took criminal law, and that's premeditation, or something like that. Speaking of which, to the faculty, to the staff, to the administrators, to Rutgers Law School, thank you for the tremendous opportunities and the wealth of support you have provided us along the way. It has been an absolute privilege to learn and grow under your guidance. And a special thank you to Dean Angela Baker, who has been a pillar of the community, especially for the students. You'll be sorely missed. I want to take a moment to give an additional special thanks to the parents, spouses, siblings, friends, children, significant others, other significants, and everyone who went along on this journey with us. Because in a way, we've all been in law school for the past few years, haven't we? Even if only vicariously through angst-fueled rants about confusing and vague doctrines of law you're completely unfamiliar with and have no interest in. I know this phrase typically applies to young, unruly children in need of guidance, and frankly, that's why I think it's perfect for today. It takes a village. You provided us with invaluable love and support, and it has made all of the difference. And who knows? In return, maybe you'll get some free legal advice in the future. Just remember, you get what you pay for. Today is a fabulous day, and it belongs to the class of 2018. Though none of us could have gotten through this alone, our achievements are collective, and that is why today is a celebration of us all. That being said, I'd like to share a brief personal story. So my dad's an attorney, and he went to this very school. Now, I can imagine what most of you are thinking right about now. My poor mom. And yeah, she's got it pretty bad. But over the years, she's learned how to adapt and survive, and she frequently gets the best of both of us. In fact, I remember visiting my parents a few months ago, sitting with my dad watching television, and she came walking by with a basket of laundry or something, and she kind of stopped and gazed upon us and said, to no one in particular, maybe I should go to law school to learn how to relax. Thank you for confirming for her that that was funny. I wanted to mention that story, though, because there's a lot of prestige associated with a law degree, and rightly so. But it's absolutely crucial we continue to receive your guidance, because despite the degree, we still need it, and we still don't know any better, unless we're billing. Okay, finally, to the class. In law school, we're told to consider exact definitions of the words we use in order to strike the optimum balance between vague and exact to give us the ideal amount of wiggle room. Lawyering, though some people call it squabbling. Anyway, I did some research, and I learned that the definition of commencement as a graduation ceremony is uniquely North American, and worse, informal. The better definition is a beginning, a launch. Do not consider this an end. Now, before we launch, before we go on to measure our lives in pay periods, I want to encourage the class to surrender any worries over unknown solutions to known problems to the wisdom of time, and instead, at least for today, look around ourselves and commit this to memory. This feeling, this community we have fostered is extraordinary, perhaps once in a lifetime. I never expected to make friends in law school, and I hope that as a class we can go forward and continue to celebrate each other's achievements and share our successes with one another. Cherish it, capture it, use it to enrich the lives of those you meet and serve. We're all bound for terrific success. Just remember our roots. None of us will go so far that we can't come back home. So today, smell the roses. We deserve it. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. It's now my pleasure to introduce our Student Bar Association President, Sam Kovac Orr, who will offer the class's greetings.
As an individual who was born in 1991, I knew of Anita Hill as a champion for the fight against sexual harassment, but I did not know Professor Hill's origin story. When I read the announcement from Chancellor Hadden noting that Professor Hill would be our commencement speaker, my legal writing education compelled me to research and learn more about her past. Over the last few months, I had the pleasure to take part in a book club with law school faculty and students where we read and discussed some of Professor Hill's writings. In Reimagining Equality, Stories of Gender, Race, and Finding Home, Professor Hill focused on the history that led to the subprime mortgage crisis and its disparate effects upon different groups of Americans. The book offers multiple definitions of the term home. My personal favorite definition is Professor Hill's own. It reads, home, 1, a lens through which one can safely view the world. 2, a place where one's ideas, experiences, and work are seen as valuable, and one's body, physical being, and identity are welcome. 3, an ideal state of being, as much as a place which is reimagined for each generation. I'm drawn to this definition because it gets to a deep understanding of what constitutes a home. Home is not simply where one sleeps. Home is where one is comfortable enough to be themselves and to achieve their full potential. For the past 3 years, Rutgers Law School has been my home, and it is an honor to welcome Professor Hill here today. Professor Hill's story began in her home state of Oklahoma as the youngest child of 13. Professor Hill attended Oklahoma State University, where she earned a bachelor's degree with honors in psychology, and later went on to graduate with honors from Yale Law School. Professor Hill's 1991 testimony to the Senate Judiciary Committee is ranked within the top 100 speeches of the 20th century in American rhetoric. In 1993, Professor Hill was inducted into the Oklahoma Women's Hall of Fame. In 1998, Professor Hill published the book Speaking Truth to Power, which shed light upon her 1991 testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee. In 2005, Professor Hill was selected as a fellow by the A.J. Fletcher Foundation, a nonprofit that works with visionary leaders to improve the state of North Carolina. In 2008, Professor Hill was presented with the Lewis P. and Evelyn Smith First Amendment Award, which honors individuals and organizations that demonstrate an extraordinary commitment to promoting and facilitating the thoughtful exercise of our right to freedom of expression. In recent years, Professor Hill has provided commentary on issues relating to race and gender on television programs such as Meet the Press and 60 Minutes. Professor Hill has authored articles in the New York Times and contributed to legal publications on the topics of international commercial law and civil rights. Last year, Professor Hill was selected to lead the Commission on Sexual Harassment and Advancing Equality in the Workplace. This commission's goal is to help combat the kind of sexual misconduct that recent revelations have shown to be pervasive in Hollywood. Now it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium Rutgers-Camden Chancellor Phoebe Hadden, who will present Professor Hill with an honorary Doctor of Laws degree.
Good morning, and I'd like to say that I come here both as Chancellor but also as a Professor of Law, and these are my colleagues. I'm so happy to be here this morning with them. One of the most prestigious honors any university can bestow is an honorary degree, a degree which is conferred honoris causa, or for the sake of honor. Through this public action, Rutgers acknowledges individuals whose exceptional achievements support the ideals of the university and serve as an example for our students, our alumni, and society. I am pleased to introduce a distinguished individual who will receive an honorary degree at this ceremony. A detailed accounting of her accomplishments can be found in your commencement program, and I urge you to read them. Professor Anita Hill, a pioneering leader in the struggle for equity and against sexual harassment, is known across this nation for the enduring impact of her work. And it gives me great pleasure, therefore, to invite Professor Hill to join me at the podium to receive an honorary Doctor's of Laws degree. So you're going to stand right there. Our citation reads, "As an advocate for a just and equitable society, you are respected for your courage to stand up for the rights of every American citizen and your commitment to doing so with unwavering moral integrity. For decades, you have been one of our nation's most powerful voices, promoting equality and addressing acts of discrimination. Your courage to stand against sexual harassment and assault remains inspirational for all of us." Your career is a living testament to the American ideal of equity, particularly the importance of equal rights for women. In recent years, you have expanded your focus to include opportunities for women in STEM and other fields. Your own words illuminate your stature as a role model for graduating students to accept their new roles as civic leaders who will work to improve their communities and world. You have said, and I quote, "I did what my conscience told me to do, and you can't fail if you do that," end of quote. More recently, you have observed, and I quote, "Despite a generation growing up hearing that sexual harassment is unacceptable, it clearly remains a plague," end of quote. In the wake of surging national crisis regarding sexual harassment in 2017, you took the lead in a campaign against sexual abuse in the media and entertainment industries by heading up the Commission on Sexual Harassment and Advancing Equality in the Workplace. As a professor at Brandeis University, you continue to share your vision and insights into our nation's laws and policies with your students. Your own journey as a legal scholar began upon your graduation from Yale Law School. You went on to hold positions at the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights and later the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. In 1989, you became the first African American to be tenured at the University of Oklahoma College of Law. Your 1991 testimony before the United States Senate Judiciary Committee ignited the national conversation about sexual harassment that continues to command attention a quarter century later, sadly. In your teaching, your public commentary, your books, and your writings, you have become a national symbol for the power of courageous refusal to stay silent when confronted with discrimination and harassment. Your life's experiences and work are inspiring and empowering, and it will continue to empower Americans, and particularly for our students. Now, therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the boards of governors and trustees of Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, I am pleased to honor upon you, honoris causa, the degree of Doctor of Laws with all the rights, privileges, and immunities appertaining thereunto here and elsewhere. Congratulations.
Well, got me. Good afternoon, or is it morning still? It's hard. I want to thank Chancellor Hadden. You know, I knew her as professor. We have had a 3-decade-long relationship. And I could not be more proud of the work that she has done and is doing in leading this university. So can I just get a round of applause for her? I want to thank the boards of trustees, Deans Chen and Cahill, for the singular honor and recognition, an honorary degree, and the opportunity to address this gathering. I will stand a little taller every day because of this. I will also do my very best to live up to the ideals of this university and the promises of the class of 2018. Now, I know what it felt to get this honorary degree, and I know that you all are just bursting to get yours as well. But I also noticed that you're a little subdued. I just can't imagine that at some point you're just not gonna let it all out. So I'm just gonna give you a moment now to start to let it all out. Congratulations, class of 2018. I am one of you. You did what you set out to do, leave Rutgers with a degree in your hand. And that is not anything that any of us can take for granted. We've already talked about how you've been assisted and guided by family, friends, partners, staff, as well as faculty. Because it is true, no one gets here to this moment that you are in alone. So I want to thank you for letting me be a part of it and sharing this day. And I also want to recognize for a moment that I know that many of you have had challenges coming to this day. But you stuck with it, you stood the course, and here we are. And I am so proud to be part of it. Now, I've mentioned that nobody gets here alone, but I also want to say that this day is uniquely yours. In the years to come, you're going to look back at this experience of having lived and learned together, having graduated together, and you're going to look back with it not just in terms of the isolation of experience, but also you're going to look back in the context of what has been going on in the world during this time, especially in the law. From the legalization of same-sex marriage to the rise in hate crimes, from the end of the Obama era to the election of Donald Trump and the March on Washington, these will shape how you view your law school days. It also will shape how you see your country and perhaps even how you see your work in the world. I hope it does. It's increasingly hard, though, to name the defining features of the United States. And perhaps the kindest word that I can think of today, or the calmest word to describe where the times are, is uncertain. You have received your education in a time of uncertainty, not to mention a time of violence and terrorism to too many of your peers and even younger students on campus. So I know it's hard to live, and it's hard to study. It's hard to concentrate in the middle of uncertainty. As a teacher, as a woman who could, honestly, for some of you, be your grandmother, I am so proud of what you've done. And I want to offer you just a few words in the minutes that I have to speak to try, I think, as someone who has lived through uncertain times in the past, to give you a little counsel on what we will need to confront this uncertainty in a positive and meaningful way. First, I want to talk about bravery. Second, and I've heard this word used more than once today, community. And finally, I want to talk about a lasting commitment to positive change. Now, when I was sitting where you were now, so many years ago, Harriet Tubman was my hashtag hero. It was before hashtags, of course. But I believe that if I had been born in 1825, I would have been a conductor on the Underground Railroad. I would have served as a nurse in the Union Army. And in my later years, I would have been an outspoken advocate for women's suffrage. But since I was born in the middle of the 20th century, the challenges that I faced were not the monumental challenges that Harriet Tubman endured. I could never, ever be Harriet Tubman, but I could, as I grew older, realize I could honor her by showing in my own time a sliver of the courage and commitment to freedom that she showed in hers. And I did my very best to do so in 1991, and I have continued to do so every day since. Courage is not something that happens once in our lifetimes. It's something that we live and exhibit in the way we live our lives every day. And I will say about Harriet Tubman, I haven't lost her as a hero. She is still my hero, and I believe she deserves to be on that $20 bill sooner rather than later, to be there and remind us all, this is what courage looks like. Harriet Tubman, a freedom fighter. But I also recognize that you too, in your own ways, in these last few years, have become freedom fighters. You've witnessed others as well. You've witnessed courageous individuals in college campuses who have stepped up to say, this is who I love and who I should be able to marry. And fortunately, the courts agreed. Others have declared that I am not the gender that was assigned to me at birth, and for now, we don't know what the legal outcome of their challenges will be. In the last few years, students of color have demanded greater inclusion and called for the removal of relics that symbolize our racist history, and that issue has not been settled. And in the same vein, students of all genders have claimed something very basic. So basic, it's hard to believe that it's even debatable, but the right to have an education free from sexual violence. We all deserve that. But all of these acts, surprisingly, have taken courage. In an age of harsh and sometimes immediate backlash that can be delivered nearly instantly and anonymously online with a click of the mouse, challenging the status quo is still risky. So I want you to think about the courage that you have witnessed in your time, and think about what it has meant to your life. Some of you have become allies to those who have struggled for basic human dignity. There are movements across the country that have let the world know that campuses should be safe for all, whether it's #Sanctuary Campus that demands safety for all workers and students, regardless of their immigration status, or the Me Too movement that declares that we will not be silent again about sexual predation. I applaud your support for these efforts. You too fight sexual assault and violence by being an ally. You have been brave in the face of your own tragedies and your own challenges. And importantly, you have absorbed the education you have received here to make you not only brave, but also intensely capable of combating bias and discrimination throughout society. And for those of you who have not found your call to action, your time to be courageous will come. And I hope that you will look back on these days and your time here to see the examples that you have witnessed. And you will know when and how to answer your call. Uncertainty prevails only if it can make cowards of us all. And we can defeat uncertainty if we boldly stand for justice and fairness. So, how did we get to this moment? We are in a moment, interestingly, of a number of social movements. I've referred to a couple of them. And some of you are going to say to me, well, we got to this moment because of Twitter, right? How many of you are on Twitter, have followed Twitter? Nobody? Good. Some people will say it's Instagram that got us to this moment, the Me Too moment. Trust me, this is a profound moment in our time. But I don't believe we got here because of social networks or the platforms. I believe we got here because of our enduring longing for community, especially in uncertain times. In another uncertain time, Martin Luther King penned his letter from a Birmingham jail, and his words that are most often quoted are the following: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." But Dr. King goes on to remind us of the inescapability of community when he says, "We are caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." So Rutgers class of 2018, of course, because you are graduating together, you learn together, you are tied in a network of mutuality. But I would also say that you are tied to those who, through no circumstances and no fault of their own, could not make it to this day. And I think to think back, I know it's a day for us to be joyful and to celebrate, but I also think it's important for us to not only think about the geese that are flying away, but also to think about some of the people who you know who are capable and competent and who could be here, who could be lawyers going out to practice law in whatever fields they choose, but who are unable to be here because of circumstances in their lives that did not go their way and allow this outcome. So as you leave today, as you're thinking about your classmates in this new community that you have become involved in, whether as classmates or alums, I also want you to think about how we can start to expand opportunity to make sure that more capable and competent people are in our ranks, receive the education that they can and would use if they had the opportunity. Think about the disparities that still exist in this country, the disparities that can be attributed to race, gender, sexual identity. Think about what opening up an education to all would do to eliminate that. Think about enlarging the community and not shrinking the community down to a few people who are in your class status. I want you to think boldly, not only about your own courage, but think about how you can embrace a broad definition of community. Who gets in? How do we open the doors for more? A better inclusive world. I love the idea that Rutgers University has been practicing inclusion, and you have been the beneficiaries of that, all of you. Not just the few who you think might not have gotten in but for this program, but all of you have benefited from the inclusion at Rutgers. Think about how that should transfer to your lives when you leave here and you go into your practice. So what happens now? I said I was going to talk about commitment to long-term change. Because, we can think of the movements now, and we can think that, with so much energy, they're not going to last forever. Movements are important, but so are the efforts that it will take to enshrine the ideals of movements. What happens now? I would say we will never be the same after the Me Too movement, after such revelations of sexual violence. We can never, as a society, ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. We can't be the same as we were before, and we certainly can't go backwards when we know that so many people are hurting and suffering. So how do we move forward? How does the ideals of the movement, how do they become our destiny? Not just something we talk about and celebrate on Twitter. I believe that no one is better equipped to make those ideals a reality than you are as trained lawyers. Now, I will just remind you, I mentioned Dr. Martin Luther King earlier, in the words from a Birmingham jail, creating the movement in 1963. I would remind you that following that letter from a Birmingham jail, Dr. King developed a strategy that led to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968. We will need to see legislation passed that puts safety of individuals first, that makes clear the right to live and work and be educated in safe environments. And you, with your skills and your knowledge and your determination, having lived through this moment, are in prime positions to make sure that that legislation gets introduced and gets passed. Now, some of you will not be a part of this next phase, and I know that some of you will be thinking that you may have some time for social justice, but mostly you just have to earn enough money to live and to pay off your student debts. You're fortunate because here, the education is not quite as expensive as some of your peer schools. But I hear you about debt. And I just want to share with you just a brief story. When I was, at my college graduation, my mother gave me a set of luggage. She gave me a set of luggage that was going to replace a set of hand-me-down luggage that I had received when I graduated from high school. I received it from a family friend. So my mother's gift was this blue Samsonite luggage that is hard and impractical. It doesn't look like anything you have now, but it had my initials on it. And my mother had saved S&H green stamps for over 4 years to get it. Now, how many of you don't even know what S&H green stamps are? Google it. That's why we have Google now. But more than a place to carry my clothes, the luggage represented her aspirations for me. She knew that my life was not going to be her life. But she wanted me to have my own tools, and knowing that I would go my own way, but also hoping that I would take with me something of what it meant to be a member of a family of subsistence farmers. And I still have both the hand-me-down set of luggage from our family friend and the blue Samsonite luggage that my mother gave me. Together, they really do, for me, represents the tools that I have to go out in the world and to be myself. Now, today, you're going to get a diploma. And in many ways, it's going to look like all of the other diplomas, except it's going to have your name on it. The diploma will reflect the relationships and experiences that you have shared here and have shared with the world. But in the end, you will have to decide what that parchment paper means in your life and in your career. The JD you will get will be what you make of it. And no two of you will get exactly the same from it. And that's the beauty of it, because no two of you were alike when you came to get it. Most of you are not going to go into careers in social justice, and it is sad to me that most people can't afford to. But I want you to promise me and your classmates that you will make a commitment to social justice part of whatever work or careers you enter. And you can do that. It doesn't have to be all of your career, but there's always something that you can do in your own workplaces, no matter what you call yourself, whether you're a prosecutor or a defense attorney, whether you're a law professor or a government lawyer or a general counsel. You can make social justice part of your work, and you have learned to do that through your experience here at Rutgers. So I would just say to you, in closing, I'm going to ask for promises. I know we all ask for promises. But I don't have any way of checking up to see if you keep them, so. But I will ask you this. Promise me, whether in times of certainty and clarity or in times of chaos, that you will be your bravest self, the bravest self that you can be, to confront the challenges of the world and to confront your own challenges. When uncertain times call, promise me that you will embrace community and not division. And promise me, finally, that you will live with a commitment to equal justice under the law today and throughout your entire lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hill, for your inspiring words and your inspiring example. Before the moment you've been waiting for, let me recognize those whom the class has chosen to honor in our ceremonies today. The Grand Marshal, seated next to me, is distinguished Professor Michael Carrier. Our readers are Professors Barbara Gotthelf and John Oberdiek. Hooding the graduates will be Professors Dennis Braithwaite, Roger Clark, Jay Feynman, Jacob Russell, and Rick Swedloff. And I am assisted in awarding the degrees by our Director of Budget and Finance, Jay Chalera. We are also pleased that a tradition we started several years ago is continuing. 13 of our alumni will join in presenting diplomas to their relatives. The list includes fathers, mothers, children, cousins, uncles, and others. It is now my pleasure once again to introduce the Chancellor of Rutgers University-Camden, Phoebe Hadden, who will authorize the conferring of your degrees.
Thank you, Dean Cahill. And once again, congratulations, class of 2018. It is my honor to deliver heartfelt congratulations and best wishes from all of our faculty, staff, and alumni to you. But in particular, it is time now for us to confer the authority to graduate. I'm trying to find the right pages. Do you have it? Hold on.
It's not official unless you say the word.
Now you got to say the words. Okay.
Wait, here we go.
No, here it is. Here it is. Yep. And now, he gave me the big print one. And now, as Chancellor of Rutgers University-Camden, and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Governors and the Board of Trustees of this university, it gives me great pleasure to authorize the conferring of the degrees to the candidates recommended by the faculty of the Rutgers Law School in Camden. Congratulations, 2018. Okay, I see.
All right, now I'm authorized, so it is now my honor and great pleasure to confer the degrees on the class of 2018. Will the degree candidates please rise? Upon the recommendation of the faculty of Rutgers Law School, and by virtue of the authority granted to me by the Chancellor, the Boards of Governors, and Trustees of Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, I confer on each of you the degree of Juris Doctor, with all the rights, privileges, obligations, and immunities appertaining thereto, here and elsewhere. Congratulations. Our readers will now announce the individual names of the graduates as they come forward and note the academic honors they have received.
Jeffrey Scott Ackley. Vincent A. Acosta. Stephen James Alfano. Dwayne Amos. Joshua Matthew Baker. Diploma presented by his mother, Angela V. Baker, class of 1985, and his father, Leonard S. Baker, class of 1973. Jessica Beardsley. Craig A. Becker. Derek B. Butler. David Scott Bigelow. Keisha Bishop. Susan Bobb, diploma presented by Captain Mark L. Stites, Jr., class of 2012. Kevin Boyle, cum laude. Michael D. Branton. Leslie Adam Bryson. Torian A. Buffalo. Natalie K. Burns. Christopher Bustamante Osorio. Sharita Coleman, diploma presented by her daughter, Ayana Coleman. Edward Anthony Korma, magna cum laude. Jacqueline N. Corsentino. Abigail Elizabeth Craig. Timothy Curry. Christopher John D'Alessandro. Julia Delia, diploma presented by her daughter Savannah. Gianna DeLizza. Amanda L. DeMarco. Shante N. DePersia, diploma presented by her uncle Rocco DePersia, class of 1978, and uncle Russell DePersia, class of 1992. Talia Amanda Diggs, diploma presented by her daughter Gabriella Diggs. Daniel R. Dowdy. Kelly Ann Dreisbach. Christian DeRugi. Sean Thomas Fannin. Joel Foreman. Matthew Peter Shoup Forrester. Roderick Lewis Foxworth Jr., his diploma is presented by his children, Roderick III, Nakenya, Gavin, and Rhiannon. Christian Galron. Blair A. Gerald, summa cum laude. Kevin M. Gibbs, magna cum laude. Robert Goldberg, diploma presented by his father, Scott Goldberg, class of 1987. Lauren C. Goodfellow. Zachary Andrew Gorecki, magna cum laude. Jonathan Grextus. Kristen M. Gummo. Francisco Guzman Andrade. Jack Haggerty, diploma presented by his father, Robert Haggerty, class of 1985. Julia Michelle Hahn. Parker Watson Hall III. Ashton Connell Hartline. Christopher Havadian. James Dean Helm, cum laude. Daniel Hinger. Brian J. Horan. Christopher Leon Jackson. Austin Leonard Jefferson. Patrick Joyce. Allison Keating. Ashley N. Keaveney, magna cum laude. Magdalena Teresa Kernan, diploma presented by her mother, Judge Audrey Kernan. Evan A. Kerstetter. John C. Kilgore. Samuel Patrick Kovac Orr. Michael H. Krasin, diploma presented by his mother, Catherine Krasin, class of 2011. Jennifer M. Landolfi. Erica Francis Lee. David R. Levy. Charles Stephen Lindruth. Kenneth Q. Ling. Deanna J. Loudon.
Eric Ramon Marcius Intriago, cum laude, presented by Dr. Gloria Bonilla Santiago. Dominic Vito Marcaglis. Connor Vincent Martin. Danielle Columba Massey. Jordan Lee McCardle. Nicole Lee McCann. Jared C. McCart, cum laude. Margaret E. McHugh, presented by our cousin Margaret Butler, class of 2008. Ashley Lynn McIntyre. Lindsay Alexandra McKillop. Alexander Thomas McLavish. Timothy Kevin McMahon, Jr. Alexander S. Medaway. Justin G. Mignona, cum laude. Amanda R. Muskillo. Ryan Murphy. Matthew Nagel. Brian D. Nieves. Corey Allen Nielsen. Sean P. O'Brien. Stephen Anthony Oliwa. Judith M. O'Malley, accompanied by her children, Megan and Connor Malloy. Zachary Harris Orenstein. Zachary David Ostro. McKenna Paris. Victor H. Pasmino. Amy Elizabeth Pearl, summa cum laude. Julie Elizabeth Peterson. Keith Peterson, cum laude. Kelly M. Peterson, magna cum laude. Nicholas S. Protase. Brandon Joshua Pugh, cum laude. Jeffrey D. Ragone, cum laude. Rebecca L. Rapp. Sandra E. Reed. Ananya Roy. Brian Michael Ruditis. No problem. Jason M. Russell, cum laude, presented by his sister Noreen Wiggins, class of 1990, and children Miranda, Cordelia, and Rosalind. Kristen Russell. Anthony James Selort. Edward S. Sarin, Jr. Peter J. Sarubi. James Marcello Savio. Sheila Sales. Anthony James Scarangelli. Corey M. Scher, magna cum laude. Benjamin Joseph Siegel. Daniel Gardner Selznick, summa cum laude. Heather Ann Senegan. Barack Ahmet Sherbetchai. Patrick Ernst Sevier. Zachary William Sisko, magna cum laude. Lauren Marie Sisson, magna cum laude. James R. Skemarakis. Lindsay Elizabeth Smith. Kushbu Solanki. Brenna Ray Sui, magna cum laude. Dana A. Stefanoki, cum laude. Domenico J. Stockton Rossini. Michael A. Stuhlman, summa cum laude. Rashida Olamide Suleiman. Galen B. Silk. Franklin K. Unger IV. Corey I. Valdez, magna cum laude. Andrew James Vallejo. Amelia Catherine Vangelo. Justin Alexander Vidal. Christian H. Weisenboker. Sarah Weiss Rosales. Carly Wells cum laude. Chelsea Ann Williams. Shahida Williams. Matthew R. Yost cum laude. Alexandra Audrey Zeiger, magna cum laude. And Sammy Zecca. Congratulations, all.
All right, give it up for the class of 2018. Our ceremonies will conclude with a welcome to the profession from Janice Heinold, Chancellor of the Camden Law Alumni Association, of which you are the newest members. It is hard to overstate the importance of the Alumni Association, both to the law school and to you, especially at this early point in your career. I encourage you all to become active members of the Alumni Association and stay connected with your alma mater. Our law school is only as strong as our alumni. And fortunately, Rutgers alumni have a lot of pride in their alma mater, and they are very deeply loyal, none more so than Janice. Janice?
Good morning, alumni. You are all officially alumni of the Rutgers Law School and members of the Alumni Association. Just a few minutes more, maybe 20 minutes, I'm joking. I know you've received a lot of advice this morning already, and I'm just gonna give you a little bit more because I can. First is to keep in touch with each other. Look around you. The people sitting beside you, behind you, in front of you are the future judges, senators, mayors, business leaders, managing partners of firms. They're gonna be the next connection to your job. And we'll give you the referrals that will help you grow your practice. Being involved in the Alumni Association and attending alumni events are fantastic ways to keep in touch, so I highly recommend you take advantage of those. Second, I had to work in a quote from one of my heroes, the notorious RBG, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. In a 2015 interview, she said, when asked what she wanted to be remembered by, I've gotten more satisfaction for the things I've done for which I was not paid. And I don't think I need to expound on that at all. Congratulations, class of 2018.
Thank you so much, Janice. And in the last few moments before we adjourn, I'd like to thank several people without whom none of this would have been possible. I need to particularly single out Kristen Walker and the entire events team from Rutgers-Camden, as well as Arlene Lentini from our Student Affairs Office. They deserve the lion's share of credit for the success of this ceremony and all of the other events of this graduation week. Thank you so much to them. Ed Rentazelis, our registrar, also had to do a lot of last-minute work to actually make sure that you could graduate, so well done to him. They were assisted by Angela Campione, Terry Wilner, Carol Shaner, the staffs of the Law Library, Career Planning, and Admissions Offices, so many thanks to all of them. Finally, the class of 2018 and I invite all of you to join us for a reception in the Clark Commons at the law school. So make your way over there, and we hope to see you there. Thank you so much for attending today's ceremony. I would just ask that our guests wait until the platform party and our graduates have exited before proceeding over to the law school. We will have transportation over to the law school for those who would prefer not to walk there. So thank you so much, and hope to see you over at the law school. Congratulations one more time to the class of 2018.